Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on the episode Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, I want to introduce y'all to one of our sponsors. The Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. Congratulations to the Warriors on a 26-12 victory over the Las Vegas Saints. Ooh, they went to Vegas. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play and hosted so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film out to try for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just trying to play in same shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on the quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Wherever you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on social media at Southern California _Warriors on Instagram, and on Twitter, SoCal Warriors, and on Facebook, Southern California Warriors. Background Check International. Are you looking to a background check on a new hire? Used for professional background checks for not for any use of crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. You can find it on social media and on the website at bcint.com and on Facebook, Background Check International, BCI. And on to the show. Tonight, we preview the Northwest Division in the NBA. Lots of surprises that came from this division this past year. Nikola Jokic winning the MVP for the Denver Nuggets. The Utah Jazz being number one overall seed in the whole Western Conference. Snuck up on a lot of people. The Blazers, despite their health troubles, still made the playoffs. And Damian Lillard was an MVP candidate all season. The Wolves, Thunder, a lot of growing pains. So we'll discuss that division in full here on Fast Break on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for That Is All Sports, and you are welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. The NBA season is out.
No, all is good. Get ready for next week. My Gators did do their thing against the Ball this past weekend. So, all in all, not a terrible weekend.
Yeah, Tennessee won. It was ugly, but they won. Alabama, they did that thing against Southern Miss. So, it's all good in this front right now. But, what's good in this front right now? The Northwest Division. A lot of potential. A lot of surprises that happened last year in the division. Jokic winning the MVP for the Denver Nuggets. Having an excellent season. A season for a big man that we've seen in a good while. The Utah Jazz. Kind of like the real surprise of the NBA this past year. Being the number one overall seed in the West. Great home record. They kind of sputter at the end. But that's a great season for them. And then you go down to the division. The Trailblazers. A lot of rumors, what's going on with them. They changed coaches to Chauncey Billups. what's going on with Dame and whatnot. Maybe with CJ McCollum. We'll see. You know, it's like a storyline over the course of the year. What will happen with them? And then like I lump the Wolves and Thunder together. Just two young teams trying to find their way. With one is in a rebuild, and the other should be better than what they are. So D-Lock, just kind of recap the season for these teams. What do you make of this division last year in your eyes?
So, we did see, don't forget, just a couple of years ago, we did see OKC make this big move with Chris Paul. I think they were in the playoffs. It didn't look bad. And then once Chris Paul was going to Phoenix, we've seen a totally different thing with OKC. Like, they just dropped off the face of the earth. Now, SGA was, somewhat of a pretty solid player for them. Didn't really see too much of an improvement from that full team. But they seem like they're just, trying to get all those big draft picks, which they're probably planning for this past draft and moving forward. Minnesota, I had high expectations for Minnesota, being the fact they got Anthony Edwards. Carl Anthony Towns started out with Ricky Rubio, a couple other guys. I just felt as if they were going to make a step forward, and they did not. Like, that was the most disappointing, I would think, of this whole division was Minnesota Timberwolves. With D'Lo as well, I was expecting a better year for them. That didn't turn out that way. Go to Portland. Portland didn't play bad, being the fact that they do have the couple pieces that they have with CJ McCollum and Dame. I think Melo played very well for them too. It seemed like they're trying to kick Melo like out the league, and he's just like find a way to continuously stay, in the league, and be consistent and show up at big moments, which he did. So I think they played pretty well. The Blazers played pretty well. Now the Utah Jazz, they were one of the biggest surprises. I mean, they did have high expectations. But Jordan Clarkson played very good. I think he made a big move for Utah. Mike Conley, we know that sometimes he can be somewhat of an injury prone, shows up a little later. Donovan Mitchell did take over a lot and did what he did. He looked, pretty good all season long. And Rudy Gobert was Rudy Gobert. Like, that's what we expect of him. Now, I feel like this team could be one of those teams that just in the mix of having a good roster, but just won't make an NBA Finals team because of the team that they're going to be, fighting with. They just are a really good team all around. But it's just like, do I see them getting out of the West? I don't see it. I mean, it's going to be pretty tough. And we've seen it last year. They had a hell of a great season, but couldn't get to the NBA Finals. And then obviously you got the Denver Nuggets with Jokic being the MVP. I think one reason why he did take that is because Jamal Murray was hurt for most of the season. And Jokic was Jokic. Like, Jokic is very dominant. I wouldn't say he's clearly the best big man in the game, but you can have that argument between him and Joel Embiid. But offensively, I think he's there. And I just felt like, he willed him to one of the better records in the West. And that's what Jokic is. I mean, they made a couple of trades, during the season going to grab an Aaron Gordon, who they just extended, which we'll talk about. So for me, I like what the Nuggets did last year. If they can stay healthy, maybe they can make, better moves forward. Michael Porter made a huge step up to me. And hopefully they can keep that going this following year.
Yeah, well, look at this division, kind of recap it real quick. I was like, last year we discussed this. I was opposite of you. I didn't think Minnesota's there, even though with the addition with D'Angelo Russell, getting back Rubio and stuff like that. I was just like, I'm not really seeing it. And I don't think Karl Anthony Towns is that guy to get him to the promised land, or at least get him to playoff contention. I think where it happened with Thibodeau, Jimmy Butler, and that mess a couple years ago really kind of messed with him. Kind of messed up his psyche enough that, kind of really doubted himself. He got talent, but I think that right there, those two combination of hard asses, Thibodeau and Butler, really kind of messed with him in my eyes. And then you throw in the injuries with that same squad with Minnesota, mainly with Towns and Russell and stuff like that. You're not going anywhere, in my humble opinion. OKC, Chris Paul got there a couple years ago, led him to the playoffs, almost to the second round in the bubble. We kind of wonder, when another team's going to try to take a chance on them to get them over the hump. That was Phoenix. We saw what happened there. And, OKC kind of fell where they wanted to, in the sense that, okay, we had a good little run right there, but now we're in full rebuild mode. Now, with Chris Paul gone, Russell Westbrook gone, KD gone, we can do a full reset and rebuild this roster. I kind of like that. I like that mindset. Okay, like you had a good run for a good few years with KD, Russ. And after KD left, you still had a couple strong years with Russ in the toe. Bring Chris Paul in. Had another strong year. Then after that, you kind of look around and say, okay, we're middle in the pack. Why stay here and suck and could potentially get younger, better players for the future? Because you got looking long game for OKC. Dame and CJ, this in this division, Dame and CJ are in their 30s. You don't know what's going to happen with Minnesota, with their roster and their organization with new ownership and all that. Denver, unless we'll discuss here in a little bit, unless some other people step up, maybe you can play catch up. But with Jokic and Murray there, they could stay in the middle of the pack for a good while. And then the Jazz. Donovan Mitchell in the fold. You got Gobert, but he got somewhat exposed in the playoffs. That, like, in certain lineups, you really can't have him out there. And that really, really showed, especially in that Clippers series. So, this division for me, a lot of strong teams. 4 out of the 5 teams got identity what they want to do. And it's going to be real interesting to see, if these teams can replicate, some of them replicate the success they had last year and translate it to this year with some of the teams out west that have improved.
They made a couple moves. These teams made a couple moves, and we're going to discuss it. And hopefully they can make that big improvement. But, we know that big question mark in this whole division is the situation with Dame. How long does he want us to actually stay in Portland, or will he stay in Portland?
And I think that's the main headline headed to the season with this division. And, there are like rumors in the summer that Dame might want to be moved, but he dispelled those rumors. And you still hearing the rumors about Ben Simmons and C.J. McCollum, that still is lingering up to this day about a possible trade destination. Also, you got the Minnesota Timberwolves in that talk with Ben Simmons. I want to throw this out there to you. And I heard this on Bomani Jones' show when he had God, who did he had on the other day? Let me pull that up because it was real interesting. Vinny Goodwill, when he had him on this past Wednesday, he brought up to the fact that Daryl Morey could play the long game to see what happens in the Portland situation with Damian Lillard. Yeah, getting McCollum is nice, but if Lillard looking around and saying, "Damn, this is like the best I can do with this team," and he gives the green light to ask for a trade, could you see Morey pouncing on that and dangling Ben Simmons, out there? Could you possibly see that move for a Dame Ben Simmons swap and whatever else you got to do to get that done? But could you possibly see that?
Say it again. Possible. You said, can I see that being possible?
Yeah, with like a trade between Philly and Portland, not with C.J. McCollum, but with Damian Lillard. If Damian Lillard,
I mean, I could see that it could happen. But going to grab a Ben Simmons for a Portland team, does that mean that you're gonna let C.J. McCollum run the one? Is that going to be your because clearly Ben Simmons will be your defender. He's going to play the three. I feel like I said before, when we talked about them trading him, I'm thinking that their best option is to trade Ben Simmons do get traded. Wherever he go, he needs to start over and be the forward, not the point guard. And that's what I will stick to that. That's what I believe. So if he go to Portland, does he just be the three guard, or the small forward, and you bump C.J. McCollum out to the one and just let him be the main scorer on the team? So, because right now, Dame can put up, what kind of scorer Dame is, and I think McCollum has that same potential. But you're looking at a scenario with kind of like a Steph Curry and Klay Thompson situation where, Steph can put up points at any point. So it kind of, you're not going to see Klay put up points all the time. And then vice versa. So, for me, that wouldn't be a bad look at this point. It will also help Portland with the defense that they need. But to get off of Dame would be a very tough thing to do. And I just think that because, Covington is still over there, right, in Portland?
Yes.
So they went and got Covington. Ben McLemore is not a big piece. They did pick up Larry Nance. So they're kind of big. I do like Norman Powell. But some of these guys could be put into that trade. But to go get a Ben Simmons, listen, we know what Ben Simmons has done, right? He did struggle, in the playoffs. But let's not forget Ben Simmons is still a 3-time All-Star. He's been on the all defensive player team. So it's not like he's a scrub. So for me, if I was Portland, I would consider it, but I would have to know does Dame want to stay in Portland? How does he feel about that? They got a new coach over there in Chauncey Billups. So it'll be something that could be considered. But definitely something that would be kind of risky as well on both ends.
Yeah, before we get to our predictions, I'll end on this note. If Morey trying to play as a long game with this Ben Simmons trade, and probably like hoping a superstar kind of wants her out, then a situation that they don't want to be in. Then if Dame comes available, then you got to make that move 10 times out of 10. Throw what we got to throw in. You may have to give up a couple young pieces. But if Damian Lillard comes available, then you make that move. If you get CJ, hey, cool, awesome. I mean, that won't hurt either. But to get Dame to go along with Joel Embiid, and then we will get to that preview, go and get some that those guards in that division, man, Dame have a field day in a sense. But let's get started with our predictions. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I can start this off. So right now I'm just skimming through it. I did a little bit of looking over a couple of things. So I'm gonna start out at the bottom. As usual, I'll start out with OKC being at the bottom. SGA is SGA. I mean, we know what he can do, but the fact that they got Derek Favors, don't think that's going to be a big move, a big transition anyway. Did draft Trey Mann, who I really like, out of the University of Florida. Got a couple guys over there that LaQuent's Dort, Darius Baisley. A couple guys that are just like right now, they're kind of planning for the future, trying to get one of those picks that's going to make a big difference. But SGA is basically the main player on that team. And I just feel like roster-wise, this is probably not one of the better rosters. Probably one of the worst rosters in this division. It's just not too much for me to really key in on and say, hey, this team can kind of move forward. And that just, it goes sidestep. It really tells us how good of a player or leader that Chris Paul was. And he took them pretty far with what he had when he was with them. So I got them starting out at 5. Hopefully they make some kind of improvements. Obviously, Phil Maldon is over there as well. But number 4, I got Minnesota. Now, last year I believe I had them a little bit higher. But the biggest thing is it just seems like this team is just not – I'm not sure what it is. It just seems like this team is not putting it together like I thought. Anthony Edwards had a hell of a season, if you ask me. I think he played very well last year. But it just seems like, Karl Anthony Towns, it's like they couldn't get on the same page to me. So D'Lo is like got a little bit of inconsistency from him. Jared Vanderbilt is a very good player too. I think that could make big difference. And also Malik Beasley. So they have I said it last year, like they got a solid roster, but it's just like they're not just like making that big jump as I thought they would. So, and in this division where you got the other teams there that have, probably a similar roster, maybe even better roster, and they can put these wins together like Utah, like Denver. Like there's no way I could put Minnesota in front of them. So I got them at 4. This is where it get kind of tough, but I got Portland at 3. And I know we talk about Dame and we talk about CJ McCollum, but like I said, the question mark, like we talked about, is the fact that of what Dame is committed to doing. I mean, they did get Chauncey Billups there. I do expect for them to be competitive because of just who they have. I mean, obviously picking up Larry Nance there was a big pickup. Norman Powell getting traded mid-season, I think he'll make a better piece for them. Honestly, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Dennis Smith over there. Grabbing, I think they got a couple. It's like they were getting a little bit of depth. But I just They did also, they obviously got Cody Zeller as well. So they got a couple pieces. It's just, but one of the biggest things is the commitment of Dame. What is Dame gonna do? Once you figure that out, we can see how kind of far they got. But with the 1-2 punch that they have in Dame and C.J. McCollum, like I was expecting a much better season with them. But it just seems like Terry Stotts wasn't that guy. So hopefully Chauncey Billups can help them press forward. I think he's going to be a good coach too, to be honest with you. Like I feel like he's going to be that guy that's going to like help them, possibly get over the hump. But as we seen last year, this division is pretty tough. So he's got his work cut out for him. All right, number 2, I got Utah Jazz. And the reason why is because, like, still trying to figure out what the hell they doing with Russell Neal playing at the power forward position. Like, every time I see them come out in that lineup, it seems like they're going like 3 guards to me. Like, still trying to figure out, is he such good of a defender that they got him playing the 4 position with Gobert? They got Eric Pascal too, right?
Yes, believe so. Yes, sir.
So Eric Pascal is a very good pick. I really liked him as just. I just felt like maybe it was just a bit for him to move on from Golden State. Picking up Hassan Whiteside. Now this is one of the question marks we've seen in the offseason. Now the thing is, we do see Gobert. Gobert is not really an offensive player like that. He's more of a defender. So, you get somebody like a Whiteside who was very similar to that. You subbing, you're taking out Gobert and putting Whiteside in, you're going to get the same similar results. So, for me, I kind of see that as a lateral move. But maybe it gives Gobert a little bit more of a break. Clearly, Donovan Mitchell is Donovan Mitchell. I do think that Jordan Clarkson needs a bump up in minutes with Utah. Now they have a lot of players on that team. With Bogdanovich, clearly Conley, got a couple guys. So to me, I feel like also Joe Ingles. So they have a lot of guys in rotation, but I feel like that Jordan Clarkson should be the one that has a bump up in minutes. Clearly, he's showing. I feel like he's in that James Harden role with OKC, to where as soon as he left to go to like Houston, like you can actually see him, like progress forward. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be the MVP of the league, no, but I feel like he has the potential to be very good. And when him coming off the bench, I think is affecting his minute and affecting his, his play. So, but again, like I said, I got Utah being second. I just like the fact that this roster should be pretty good. It's a good defensive team. And they're gonna make some noise as usual. It's just, can they get a little farther than they were last year? But the West is so loaded, I doubt it. And clearly at number 1, I got the Denver Nuggets. Number 1 reason is because they got Jokic. I mean, we know what he is. We know what he can possess. The thing about Jokic is, it's like if you can't just game plan just for him. He mess around and have Jamal Murray on the court with him. It's going to cause hell for all teams. And that's the reason why Jokic, looked so good last year. Got the MVP because Jamal Murray really wasn't there that much. One person that did grow up this past year, I would admit he did grow up, is Michael Porter Jr. I think his game elevated a little bit more this year. Now, I think it hasn't hit the ceiling yet. I think he's still growing. But what he did last year was a huge piece for them. Kind of makes me wonder what was the trade for Eric Gordon for. But adding him on, Eric Gordon is more of a slasher. Another person that is going to play a huge part in this offense, and we'll see if he can stay healthy, is Will Barton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a person that plays a little bit and then he's off because of an injury. He's out for a while. So for me, it's the fact of, can he stay healthy? Facundo Campazzo, he came in pretty well with them. I did pick up Jeff Green. Now he's just one of those journeymen that can come in and get good minutes and defend the glass a little bit and shoot threes from time to time. So maybe they're spreading the floor with picking him up. And it's a big question mark with one person that we've seen with them for a while, and that's Bo. Like, is this the year that we see him make that move? And every year, until he make that move, that's what we're going to ask. Are we going to see him make that move? We're going to always ask that, because at this moment, it just seems as if we're not, like, he's not, like, hasn't been developed there yet. I think Black to 10 card gets in a little bit more than Bo. So, for me, I really want to see him make that move forward, that big jump. It's going to be tough, too, because, I mean, again, you still got Austin Rivers, you still got Monte Morris, and Jokic is just Jokic. I mean, if he plays on the MVP level, there's no way in hell you're going to see Bo that much. So, are we going to see him on a team that long, or is he going to be possible a trade value for them? So, for me, like I said, I do got OKC at the 5, Minnesota at the 4, Portland at 3, Utah at 2, Denver to lead it off and hold the division.
All right. Let me get number 5 out the way for me. Number 5, same thing like you, OKC. I look at this roster, and I'm same boat as you. Besides SGA, not a lot of guys you really want. That's a big thing for them, because I don't think they really contended for anything. Just for, like, draft lottery positioning of all the picks that they have accumulated here the past year and change. But you look at this team starting lineup like a SGA. Me personally, I would start Josh Giddey, the kid that got from Australia. I would start him, throw him out there, and see what he got. I mean, you're not winning nothing. Throw him out there and see what you have in the kid. If he does look like something that he can possibly be something, cool, awesome. You got a nice young backcourt with those two guys in the fold. But I got him in the starting lineup if I was doing things. Then you got Dort at the 3, who at times, during the season, when healthy, can score. We see him have a couple 40-point games, so he can score in this league. Can defend. So hopefully, he can stay healthy and be a more consistent contributor. And then, down low, I hope I don't butcher this guy's name. The guy they got from Greece. Pozeki? P-O-K-U-S.
I definitely ain't want to mess it up.
P-O-K-U-S-E-V-S-K-I. That guy. About 6'11", 7 foot. I put him at the 4. Throw him out there as well with the young group. At times he looked pretty good. Granted, he was injured too. But if he's fully healthy, ready to go, throw him out there in the starting lineup as well. And then I got you guys some balance out there. I wish they kind of kept Moses Brown, because that would go great with this young roster. But I got Garrett Favors starting at the 5. Just throw him out there for like 25 minutes a game. Just bring some balance with the roster and whatnot, and see what you get out of them. And then whoever you got behind him, throw that young person out there and let them have their time. But that's how I look at things for OKC. They ain't going nowhere. If you got young people, play them heavy minutes, Fit him in when you fit in. 4, the Timberwolves. It's a good thing that we waited to do this division this week. As y'all know, their team president, who's only been there for like a year and a half, recently got fired. That man's name is, and I'm pulling it right now. Let's see. What is that guy's name? Garrison Rojas. So, Mr. Rojas, if y'all don't know this, ladies and gentlemen, he didn't get fired, for performance or whatever. You can contribute that to that. No, you know what he did, D-Lock? This man had an affair outside his marriage. Now, you can do what you want. Granted, marry, whatever, wherever floats your boat, whatever. No judgment here. I don't care what you do. But if you're going to have a affair like that, you don't do your business on company time. This man in
on company time for real.
Like, they had the only reason that people found out and snitched on them because they were sitting there doing a get down at a soccer game, I believe. In a suite. In front of everybody else. Who does that? I mean, you got a side piece. You got to go to the park or meet at the park at 12 a.m. or something like that, or get a hotel room, something. But you don't do it on company time. I'm like, what are we doing here? And the funny thing about that firing, it caught the players by surprise. So it seems like they like this dude. But, kind of, you look at it, he did it to himself. But I think, to me, it could be a good thing. You probably get new fresh face in. Like I said, you got new management in the helm now, and ownership. Excuse me. So maybe whoever they get in can turn things around. Joe Dumars, somebody like that. But look at the starting line for this team. You got D. Russ, Anthony Edwards, Patrick Beverly. The 4th spot, I was kind of choosing. It's like, you can go like a lot of people. Torian Prince, Jared Vanderbilt. I decided to stick with Vanderbilt in there. And then Karl-Anthony Towns. And Towns and Russell ain't healthy. They're not playing at least 70 games in this season. Then Minnesota's not making the playoffs. Point blank, period. And I'll be honest with you, D-Lock. If I was Minnesota management, if they're not making the playoffs this time around this year or making some significant progress, then you gotta start doing a fire sale. Makes no sense to pay those type of guys on a roster to do nothing. I mean, to not make progress with nothing. That's just my humble opinion. Now, do they try and make a move with Ben Simmons? I don't know. Ben Simmons seems kind of hell-bent to trying to get to one of the preferred LA teams. Well, not LA teams, one of the California teams. Could Ben Simmons D Russ swap work? Maybe. If you look at the schematics of things, maybe you offer D Russ, Patrick Beverly, a couple first round picks for Ben Simmons, and maybe another player or second round pick, and call it a day. But with how the West is, I don't see Minnesota making much progress. Only way I can see them making progress if they get off to the hot start. But we shall see on that. But like you mentioned, my Anthony Edwards played great this season. Played really great, and really came on strong late in the season. That if he won Rookie of the Year, I've been cool with it. Granted, Leandro Ball did his thing for most of the year, but if they voted Edwards for that title, I wouldn't been mad at it. 3. Oh, before I get started, shout out to the chat real quick. Terry Rodriguez, hey, how you doing, sir? Yeah, you Chargers. Hey, came in, stopped on the big dogs, the Chiefs. So congrats to you.
Clutch.
Oh yeah, they came in clutch today. Makes the Titans playing the Chiefs looking pretty good down the line. But anyways, and then shout out to the founder, Larry B. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Get y'all's predictions in for the Northwest Division. Number 3, Blazers. Like we discussed before we did our predictions. We're kind of on Dame watch. There are good rumors over the summer that he may get traded or not. He might ask for a trade. He played pretty well for Team USA this past summer. I'm interested to see what Chauncey Billups does with this team. I know you weren't a big fan of Terry Scott's. And I think I agree with you, like, after a while, I think his voice got kind of stale with that group. And I think he did what he did with that roster best he could. And for Chauncey, I think, the way his career has gone, I think he screams coach in my eyes. You're always kind of wondering what, he's doing the studio shows, like why he's not coaching somewhere, college or pros. Now we're about to see it this year and what he can bring to the table. And maybe a different set of eyes, maybe a different vision could maybe get this team where they need to be. And maybe there's a good possibility it could be this year's Utah Jazz, kind of surprise everybody and be on top of the West for most of the year. But looking at starting out lineup for them, you got Dame, CJ, Norman Powell, who they gave a big extension to, Covington, and Nurkic. I think Nurkic is the big key. If he can stay healthy for them, I think they'll go a long way for them for their season. I also like to move in Larry Nance, but he's in the same boat as Nurkic. If they can stay healthy, they can help with this team. But if those two dudes ain't healthy, and not with their lower leg injuries that they have in the past, then you did lose Zach Collins to the Spurs. Yes, you brought in Zeller, but he's not scaring nobody. Melo's gone to the Lakers, so that depth in the front court kind of took a little hit. You don't have Harry Giles no more. Kind of like a development piece. Like you mentioned about Whiteside, he's in Utah now. So, that starting lineup, they gotta produce. And then on the bench, Anthony Simons. Can he come in and kind of blossom in as a second-year player? I mean, not their second year, but third year player. Can he take that leap as a potential guy that can be playing in the franchise in the future? Because depending on how this season goes, there'll be some questions about Dame and CJ. What's going to happen with them? Number 2, the Nuggets. God, it sucks that Jamal Murray blew out his knee at the end of the season. It really sucks. You know, this. If I look at this roster, they didn't make no big moves to kind of stay ahead of some people and whatnot. Like you mentioned before, it seemed like they're banking on a couple guys on the roster to kind of take them to the next level. And those two guys, I'm mentioning them here too, and Bobo and Michael Porter Jr. If those two guys can blossom and can be the players that a lot of people envision them to be, cool. We can justify Denver not doing anything really major in the offseason. But they kind of stay the same and whatnot. Then, come playoff time, they could be a first round exit. Looking at them for like a starting lineup until Jamal Murray comes back. Monte Morris, Austin Rivers, Will Barton, who Denver fans have a love-hate relationship with. And then Eric Gordon, gave him a big extension about a couple weeks ago. So you really kind of, tied with him and thinking he can be a difference. And then you got Jokic, the reigning MVP. But I think, I'll tell you that. Take out Barton and put Michael Porter Jr. I'm sorry. I was thinking about something else. Sorry. But if Porter Jr. can take that next leap and say average at least 22, 23 points throughout the season, that'd be great for Denver. And you ease the scoring load off Jokic a little bit and have teams worry about this player here. And then when you get Murray back, wherever that may be, it can go a long way with this team. But I think another key for me is Aaron Gordon. He's got, it's like, he plays well. It's just like, I sometimes see the stat sheet with him, but it's just like, it's like you could do more at times. In my eyes.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
It's like, it just feels empty with him. I mean, he got the athleticism, and I don't know, you may agree with this with me or not. And I wish this person had more shelf life in the NBA, but it kind of reminds me a lot of Derek Williams. When Derek Williams come out of Arizona.
Oh yeah, high expectation.
And the sad thing about Derek Williams, he was in that tweener position as well. And he worked hard to get to be a 3 or whatever and kind of work on his game. But, teams didn't really give him the benefit of the doubt. And Gordon, I didn't really see much progress in his game. Yet some teams still bank on that potential. I don't know. It's just like same school, play the same position, very athletic, big man, stuff like that. But I think one came a little bit too soon than the other, if that makes sense. And the one ladder here, before I write this up, has kind of reaped the benefits of 2 big extensions in my eyes. And then number 1 for me, the Jazz. I think they won't be number one in the West again, especially how teams kind of looking to figure out Gobert and how they take him out of games. I think it's going to hurt them in the standings a little bit and in some games as well. Look at the starting lineup for them: Conley, Spider, Bojan. I thought about putting Royce O'Neal in the starting lineup, but I was like, nah. I was like, put Ingles there, and then you got Gobert. I don't think they're going to sneak over nobody this year, D-Lock. They got to figure out a lineup. If Gobert has been taken out of the game, they got to figure out a lineup that suits them best if they go small like that. And they got their butts kicked pretty badly by the Clippers come playoff time. Now, granted, I think some other factors happened. Like trade. Not was it the kid from Florida State? Not trade man, but oh god, I forgot his name. Terrence Mann. My bad. When Terrence Mann got hot for a couple games and whatnot, which it's still egregious how poorly they didn't. Quinn Snyder and crew didn't adjust to that in that game, but I think the status quo stayed the same. I think they're not going to be number one in the West. I think you talk about maybe going down a little bit to 4 or 5, but I think another thing I consider about this team in the future, and they got some guys that over 30, Boban, Ingles. I think Gobert's hitting that 30 mark. Conley. Whiteside. I did like to pick a Jared Butler in the second round, depending, how his heart is and whatnot. Which seems to be fine because, he played college basketball for the past 3 years. So, there's that. And I wish, if you don't know the story about Jared Butler, he did start his career at Alabama, but once they found out about the heart issue, they let him go out of scholarship, and then he got picked up by Baylor. And then that's all she wrote there. Won a national championship with them. But if he can come in, be a great backup point guard, that'll go great for them. You got Jordan Clarkson there that I guess the people in Salt Lake City who work in news stations don't know who the hell that is. 6'5" black dude with tattoos in Salt Lake City. I mean, damn. Ain't too many of those running around. I could be wrong. I don't know the demographics of Salt Lake City, but damn, come on, people. Y'all better than that. But other than that, I think Utah, will stay on top. I think Whiteside, if motivated at times, could be good for them. But that's how I look at this division. This is like kind of a status quo type of division in the sense that OKC ain't going to do nothing. The T-Wolves, we'll see what's going to happen with Ben Simmons and where he goes there. Blazers, we'll see what Chauncey can do with his roster before they start making some changes. And then Nuggets and Jazz kind of ho-hum in my eyes. But let me ask you this before we go. Do the Jazz sneak up on people like they did last year?
I don't think it's going to necessarily be sneaking up now because they're kind of here. Like I said before, I feel like the Jazz might be in that scenario or that around the time where they can be a really good team for a long time. But to win a championship, it's going to be kind of tough. And the fact that LA is so stacked with the two teams that they have, So the Jazz are going to be a contending team for a long time. But they're going to be on the lookout now, especially how last year went. Teams are going to expect them to be up there. So, which makes this season coming up very exciting. Well, I believe we got about 23, 24 days until the NBA season kicks off. So, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how these teams prepping already. But I believe that the Jazz, put the league on notice of how they played last year.
Mm-hmm.
Just to watch out for them because Donovan Mitchell is coming to his own. So, like you said earlier about the whole Russ O'Neal thing, like if they can find a different rotation of guys with that, maybe that's why they picked up on Hassan Whiteside. They can get a good rotation of guys or put their rotation together. Maybe they can go a lot farther, but I don't think they'd be sneaking up on anybody now. Like, not at all.
Yeah. I don't think they sneak up on anybody either. I think when we get to the Pacific Division, I think 4 of those teams there's gonna be dogfight with those 4 teams there that may knock them down a peg or two. So when we get to that part, then we'll discuss it heavy. But I don't think they're gonna sneak on nobody like they did last year. Denver, I think they'll be middle, and Jamal Murray not gonna be there for that. At least a good part of the season is going to hurt them as well. And really showing the playoffs as, when they play Phoenix. Besides Jokic, doing the best he could, everybody else is kind of stagnant. So, good division, home, and not a lot to talk about, spurt and like pop. But, sometimes consistent is very good, for the NBA. And, a lot of small market teams in this division, that's all you can ask for in the long run. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can definitely find me at Black-813. Tweeting a lot of crazy stuff right now because we just got our ass whooped. So just give me 24 hours and I'll recover. But Black-813 on Twitter and Black-813 on Instagram. Let them know where they can find you in the podcast, man.
You can find me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288. Also, you can please do follow us on Twitter at Fastbreak at IESR. That's Fastbreak IESR. Also, I do a podcast on the side called The Crooks Process. Please do follow me on there on Facebook and Instagram. That is Facebook and Instagram. I will let y'all know when I post a new episode soon. It'll probably be this Tuesday. So please do follow me on there to get any updates on the show. Also, please do follow IESportsRadio.com on all social media platforms on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and that's it. Also, IESportsRadio.com. Check out the merchandise store. Check out all the playbacks on all the shows here on the network. We are live. We are now set in all 32 major markets in this country. So for example, if you've got an NFL team in your city, we are there. IE Sports Radio is there. And speaking of which, about major markets, lead us into what's lying about sports right after us in the DC area with Mike Pat. So we'll let Mike get on, and we'll talk to y'all next week. We're getting heavy in these divisions. But until then, we're out, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace.